Hello, my name is Moishe Steigmann, the Mindful Rabbi, and I am a Green Bay Packers fan. And I even have the goods to prove it. I have the jersey of my favorite player, A.J. Dillon. Shameless plug, you can click the link below to hear my interview with him. I have a cheese head, more than one, I must admit, and I even have not one, not two, but three Green Bay Packers keep-hote. So I am a Green Bay Packers fan. And probably as soon as I said that, you started to have an image in your head of what that meant. Right? Because some fans of the Green Bay Packers are people who don't really follow sports that much, but always hope that the Packers do well. Or they feel that because they're born and raised or lived in Wisconsin, it's the thing that they need to say to really fit in. Other people might be Packers fans because they support the team, they root for the team, they watch a couple of games a year, and they hope they really do well. Other people might watch every single game of the season. They might even adjust their schedule every single week to make sure that they watch the game. Some are season ticket holders who will go to every single game. Some might even travel to road games across the country and across the world to watch the Green Bay Packers. Some people might know every single player on the Packers, past, present, and future. And some people would say they are such big Packers fans that not only do they want the Packers to do well, they want every other team in the NFL to do poorly and suffer. So when I say I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, you actually have no idea what that really means. At the same time, though, you have an image of your head. Am I the kind of fan who's a casual supporter? Am I a diehard fan? Am I the person who's going to jump on a coffee table screaming at the television? Which maybe I may or may not have done before in my younger years. You already have an image of what it means when I say I'm a Packers fan. But the truth is, you have no idea because I have not communicated that and you haven't asked. Now, when it comes to being the fan of a football team, the stakes are pretty low. It doesn't really matter which kind of fan I am because we can sit and watch a game together, and worst case, you can get up and you can leave and watch elsewhere. We can start talking sports, and worst case, if you're not engaged, we can change the topic. The stakes are low when I'm identifying myself as a Packers fan, but the stakes are far, far higher when we're talking about war, hostages, human life, suffering, and dignity. This video is called The Dangers of Labels and a Soundbite World. Because when we give only a label or a soundbite, we close off conversation. And all we do is open the door to presumptions. What if I were to say, I'm a liberal, I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm an independent. I'm a Reformed Jew, a conservative Jew, an Orthodox Jew, a humanist Jew, an atheist Jew, just a Jew, a community Jew, a cultural Jew. None of these labels help you understand who I am as a human being, what it is that I truly believe in, why I identify with any of those. The reason that we as human beings cling to labels is twofold. First, they help us give ourselves a sense of identity. And second, they give us a sense of belonging. I'm a Packers fan. I know where I stand in the football world. You're a Packers fan too? You're a Bears fan? I know where I stand, and it creates a sense of community. Right? I'm a liberal, you're a liberal. I'm a Republican, you're a Republican. I'm an independent, you're an independent. When we start having these labels, we start feeling a sense of belonging with other people who offer the same labels. But the truth is, just saying a label tells us nothing about each other. I'm pro-Israel. I'm pro-Palestinian. I'm pro-peace. I don't know what any of those mean. Free the hostages. from river to the sea. I don't know what any of those mean. I stand with Israel. I don't know what that means. If I were to say those words, if you were to say those words, we would do it so that we have a sense of identity, a sense of belonging, a sense of community. But we actually know nothing about what the other person means, and all we do is project our presumptions onto the other. Let's unpack some of them. What does pro-Israel mean? Does it mean that I am such a staunch defender of Israel that anything that Israel does now in its war against Hamas is justified? Does pro-Israel mean that I have some ambivalence about what Israel is doing, but I undeniably and categorically defend Israel's right to exist, and that is the most important thing? Does pro-Israel mean that I have a deep personal, historical, cultural relationship and connection with Israel? So much so that I feel an obligation to stand with Israel like I would stand with a child, with my kid, even when it's doing something with which I disagree. I don't know what pro-Israel means. Does pro-Israel mean that any suffering that Palestinians are feeling now is Israel's fault? Is Hamas's fault? Does it mean that it's Israel's fault? And I stand with Israel, I'm pro-Israel anyway? What about if I'm pro-Palestinian? What does that mean? Am I in favor of the Palestinians' right for self-autonomy, for self-determination, without having another nation or people determining its fate? Does pro-Palestinian mean that I want Israel out of here at all costs? Does pro-Palestinian mean that I don't really support what Hamas is doing, but I don't know what else to do in the struggle against an occupier? Does pro-Palestinian mean that I support anything and everything that Hamas is doing? I don't know what those labels mean. I stand with Israel could have a huge range of meanings. I love Israel dearly and defend its right to exist. Or in my book, Israel has a blank check to do what it needs to do to wipe out Hamas. From river to the sea. Does that mean that Palestinians should have equality and equity, not only in the West Bank and Gaza, but within the country of Israel? Or does it mean that the country of Israel should no longer exist and it should be a country of Palestine under Palestinian and Hamas rule? I don't know. When a person utters these words, I don't truly know what they're thinking, what they're feeling, or what they believe. This is dangerous. It opens us up to making presumptions about the other person. It puts ourselves in boxes. It creates more and more entrenchment, certainly in this heightened emotional time. And it cuts off dialogue entirely. We agree? Let's talk. We disagree? I have nothing to say to you, and you have no right to say anything to me. These are the dangers of labels and sound bites. They create entrenchment. They create chasms. They create fewer and fewer spaces for dialogue and more spaces for othering the other person. I have no magic wand. I have no 10-word answer that's going to solve everything in the Middle East. I have no capacity to do that. One thing that I do know is that I will not grow. I will not be able to deepen my own beliefs, understand them better, and have a greater possibility of understanding multiple sides through sound bites. In an echo chamber. It can't happen. The only way that I can move forward, that I can step forward, is to be in dialogue with other people who are open to discussion, to nuance, to listening, to hearing, to sharing, personally, passionately, authentically, and honestly, far more than a soundbite or a label. There are certainly times when we want and even need to be talking with people who see things like us. We need the chizuk, we need the strength, we need the support. We need to know that we're not alone. And just as importantly, we need to be in dialogue with people who see things a little bit differently, and in some cases, a lot differently. And in turn, they need to be open to dialogue with us as well. It's not easy to find those people. It's not easy to find dialogue partners. And we only make it harder when we fall back on labels and sound bites. They are dangerous. They further entrenchment. They create more and more gaps. And so my hope and bracha, my hope and blessing for each one of us is that over the next couple of days, and for those who celebrate Shabbat coming up in a couple of days from when I'm recording this, we take some time for introspection and reflection. What do I really believe? What are the things that I'm very passionate about? What are the things that I'm unsure about? How do I communicate that, not in 2 words or 2 phrases, but in 2 sentences or even 2 minutes? How do I open myself up to listening to other people when they want to communicate that? And how do I find partners in dialogue to help me step forward and to give me an authentic space to share my passions and beliefs, and perhaps have someone else step forward as well? In doing so, may we create an upcoming Shabbat with just a little bit more shalom, and may that shalom carry through into the week ahead.